Joining our What's New in Altiris 7.5 webinar. My name is Angelo Sasha. I'm the Senior VP here at NetX. On with me today is Antoine Gray. He's our VP of Technical Operations. Today we're going to present to you some of the new features of the long-awaited release of Altiris 7.5. Just some information about the webinar. Due to the large number of registrations for today's webinar, all lines have been muted. Also, today's webinar is going to be recorded. It will be available for download at our website, which is www.netxinc.com, and there'll be a slide with that at the end. At the end of the webinar, there'll also be a short survey, which we're going to use to help us understand how you folks are using Altiris today in your environment. We're going to take that feedback, and it's going to help us develop an agenda and target the right audience for our upcoming Altiris 7.5 deep dives, which will be a series of webinars based on the suites and solutions that that you see the folks in this call are using today. So, for those of you who don't know who NetX is, hopefully it's not too many of you. We are a Symantec Platinum partner. Actually, we're a legacy Altiris partner dating back to 2003. Although we are technically a software reseller, we do consider ourselves an engineering company first. Antoine and I actually both started off as Altiris customers back in 2001. From there, we both became Altiris consultants, and we have done the install for some of you guys on the call today many years ago. And today, now we're managing our respective teams, helping our customers with implementations, pre-sale support, education services for Altiris, as well as many other Symantec products such as NetBackup, Enterprise Vault, and Symantec Endpoint Protection, just to name a few. So again, thanks everyone for joining today. Please, your feedback at the end of the webinar is very important. Thank you all for taking the time to join today. And with that, I will turn it over to you, Antoine.
Excellent. Thank you, Angelo. Welcome everyone to our webinar today. I appreciate everyone taking time out of your busy schedule to spend an hour with us to talk about some of the new features in Altiris 7.5. There are actually more new features than we're going to discuss here today. But what we've picked out are some of the main ones. And if you've attended the Symantec sponsored webinar a few days ago, some of this may be reviewed, but we've also added a couple of extra things in there that you should be made aware of if you're looking to upgrade to 7.5. So first question though, why would you want to actually upgrade? Well, Symantec has actually built the platform around management without boundaries. And what this means is we have now the ability to offer similar management capabilities to our folks who are traveling, who are in hotels, some of the folks who may never actually connect to the network. There's no longer a need to make a VPN connection back into the corporate network in order to send in inventory information, get patching information, or even have software delivered to the machines. This happens in a secure manner, again, regardless of location. So again, we can now be outside of our corporate firewall and still receive service from our IT department. Dynamic insights. You'll see some of the enhancements within the console. Once we pop in there, I'll actually drive through on some of these items as well. Enhanced analytics. So for those of you who have yet to take advantage of IT analytics, I'm going to pop in to show you just how quickly you can create pivot reports or some dynamic reports to give you greater insight into what's going on in your environment. As well as Symantec has enhanced the administrative experience. And what this means is by taking advantage of some of the new features within the console, we can get a greater insight on what's going on in our environment and be able to remediate pretty quickly. Maximum productivity. With that, Symantec is introducing an iOS app for your iPad so that technicians can be able to manage their Altiris 7.5 environments from within the environment. So obviously we will still have to have some sort of connection back to the LAN, whether it's over VPN or we're actually connected to wireless on the LAN. But our technicians no longer have to run to a laptop or run back to their admin station in order to get some insight into what's going on in the environment. We also, with the Altiris 7.5, have additional support for other operating systems, and we'll take a peek into that now. So to answer some of the questions as to why the upgrade, as we see here, management without boundaries, dynamic insights, and maximum productivity. So let's jump into some of those key new features that back up these claims. When we talk about increased productivity and a better administrative experience, the first thing that comes to mind would be console speed. Okay, and console speed has been increased by approximately 15 times. Now, obviously, I'm a technical guy, so I wanted to see this for myself. So once I actually built up the semantic management platform, and I didn't build a small VM with everything local. It's across ESX servers. I have a SQL server on one virtual server, and I have the console on another virtual server. So, to kind of give us more of a feel of a production environment, although I don't have quite the load. But you can still kind of tell that the console is actually faster. As we're going through and manipulating items, you can see that. Flipbooks and summary views, another console enhancement, again, around that administrative, that enhanced administrative experience, so that I can now take a look at a group of machines and get some insight into what's going on for a particular group of machines, and then take action based on what I see within those flipbooks and summary views. So we'll pop into there as well. Software library filtering. I now have the ability to filter my software library based on platform or some other criteria, and we'll pop in there and take a look as well. As well as the free iOS app for ITMS. This is not yet available in the App Store, but it's soon to be available in the App Store. So look for that. So one of the first items here is our flipbooks and summary views. As you can see here, let me grab my little highlighter, a little spotlight thing here. The console itself, without looking at the summary information in the middle, basically looks just like 7.1. So, there's no more feeling around. It's not the same experience as you had with moving from 6 to 7.0 and from 7.0 to 7.1. So 7.1 and 7.5 navigation skills still are applicable. So that's certainly a great thing right there. That again reduces that learning curve, and some of the where the policies and things of that nature were located before are in those exact same places. There are some additions though that we'll see. But back to the flipbook and summary view. So we're used to our computer's view within the Activity Center. Now what I have the ability to do is to highlight any one of the groups that I have listed over in my under my list of computers, whether it's a save search or it's the default install agents, what have you. And I have this little double arrow item that I can go ahead and click. Once I click that, I can see, based on the group that I have selected, the software delivery policies that have been sent out to that group of machines. I can also see what has failed, when they've actually been sent out. Down below for my managed software delivery policies, I can also see, my compliancy level. So I can tell whether, HR has that specific app that they're all required to have. And I can go ahead and remediate right from here. These are all clickable. So it'll take me directly to the policy. And one additional item within the policy itself is the ability to go ahead and rerun a failed task without jumping through a lot of hoops, copying and pasting the policy or cloning the policy, that sort of thing, or removing the original items from the policy to allow that to be rerun against the machines. And as I continue over on the end here, so if I have, in this particular case, install agents highlighted in my computers, I have then the list of computers that fall within that group over on this side of the window. So again, giving me greater insight into what's going on in my environment. We'll pop into the console and take a look at that in a moment. Software library filtering. So now we have the ability to filter our software releases based on platform. So not only do we now, and we'll get to this a little later, do we now support bringing in the DMG files for the Mac environment, but now, as opposed to naming them specifically, so in this particular case, if I have Adobe Reader here, and let's pretend I have Adobe Reader over for Windows, I don't have to have a dash Mac and a dash Windows. I can go ahead and filter them appropriately. Without the filter, they all just show up within my software catalog just as they do in 7.1. But again, I can go ahead and filter them, and I can also save those search criteria. So I can have all of my Mac software grouped together, all of my Windows software grouped together, or whatever other search criteria that I've selected. Here, and I don't have the iOS app to actually show just yet, again, because it is not yet available. It will be coming soon, and again, this will be a free app. But this app does allow me to access the semantic management platform from my iPad. It gives me some of the same capabilities as if I were connected directly to the console from a workstation. To be able to view summary reports, I can go ahead and remediate by deploying policies to a particular client or group of clients, as well as I have the ability to go ahead and actually remote control from the iOS app as well. This is built for the technician on the go. So I'll pop into the console to take a quick look at Flipbook, as well as the summary views and the software library filtering. Okay, so you should see now on my screen the semantic management console for Altiris 7.5. And at first glance, again, it looks exactly like the 7.1 version of the product. One way to quickly tell let me make sure that everyone can see my screen. If you're not able to see my screen, if you could raise your hand. Okay, perfect. So again, the 7.5 console looks exactly like the 7.1 console. One quick way to tell, though, is if I move over here to Manage and Computers, it's going to bring up my Activity Center. And one telltale sign that I'm using the 7.5 console is this double arrow at the top. Okay? Now, this double arrow actually gives me the ability to dive into this other information, very similar to what I showed to you in the slide. Now, we're all familiar with the Flipbooks across the top on a one-to-one type basis. So if I have my demo DC01 actually highlighted, I click identification, and it basically gives me some quick details about this particular resource. Okay. Now, what if I wanted to look at information on multiple computers? Then, in most cases, I would have to run a report or look at them individually. Well, as you can see here, I have this XP saved search with 2 XP computers in there, and I want to get some information in reference to these 2 computers. So I can go ahead and click on this double arrow to expand my view, and that then takes me into software deliveries. I also have, if I continue across the top, manufacturers. These are VMs, so this is not very exciting here. As well as operating systems. These are 2 XP machines, not very exciting. But if I go back to my install agents, you can see now I have a breakdown of my XP machines versus my standard versus enterprise 2008 machines. Okay, and I can also go ahead and highlight any particular portion of this pie chart and it will go ahead and show me those particular machines. So as I highlight the green portion of this pie chart, this would be my 2008 standard machines. You'll see then the results over in the far right side of those 2008 standard machines. If I click on, let's say, the blue portion of the pie chart, which would then correspond to my XP machines, then it brings up those XP machines. So again, I have this information right at my fingertips, and I can go ahead and drill through them. Now, in our very small, freshly built demo environment, we only have a couple of software delivery tasks that we run out there, and they were just against our XP machine. So although I have my install agents highlighted, notice because I only have the 2 machines with any of these types of policies assigned to them, those are the only 2 that actually show up. So that's a great thing as well. So you notice then if I go back to XP, it's going to basically be the same. But if I take a look, I can see which software delivery policies actually failed, as well as which ones actually ran successfully against the machine. I also can come down below and take a look at my managed delivery policies. So if I have a policy that is set to enforce a particular piece of software to be installed on the machine, I can come in and quickly take a look at my compliance without going through the reports menu item and finding the appropriate report and running that particular report. So it makes it really really easy for us to gather information pretty quickly. Excuse me. The next item I want to go into would be software library filtering. So I'll go ahead and pop into my software, and we're going to actually come back here to take a look at Mac software specifically. But on this particular point, you'll notice here in my software releases, I have 7-zip. There are approximately 6 software delivery packages available within my catalog, 6 releases. So if I don't know which is which, if I had a long list and I wanted to be able to break these out to, based on platform or whatever, I could certainly do so. I could also save those searches. So you'll notice here I have a couple already, Mac software as well as Windows software. But how did I get those over there is the question. I'll go back to my software releases and walk through that particular example. You notice my drop down here now available, and I have my add search criteria. So if you've created saved groups within your computers, then it's the exact same for this particular process as well. I can go ahead and I can look at my managed products based on manufacturer, platform, or I can create a custom criteria. If I want to just simply look at my, in this particular case, since we're talking about Mac versus Windows, if I wanted to look at just Mac software, there it is. I just type in Mac, and it brings up my list of software. And I can go ahead and then click Save, and that will then allow me to save that into my save filters, which would then show up and be available for me later underneath my software. So that's how these guys got over there. Just typed in Mac, typed in Windows, click Save, gave it a name, and there it showed up for me. Very, very simple stuff. Okay. I will switch back to the presentation and move on to the next topic. The next hot topic within Altiris 7.5 is cloud-enabled management. Gave you kind of a teaser at the beginning as to why we want to upgrade. This basically allows us, again, to securely manage users anywhere on the internet. Okay, as long as you have an internet connection, I can manage you. I can deliver software to you, and we'll take a look at some of the solutions that are actually supported over cloud-enabled management, because not all are, simply because of the way the protocols work and how to get this information back and forth to that remote computer. But again, the majority of the things that we want to be able to do in order to assist our folks on the road, our road warriors, our technicians in the trucks and vans and things of that nature, we have the ability to do so. Again, for our traveling employees, for our employees who work from home, so if you have home office users that you support, like a large number of folks in the medical community, they may have medical coders who actually work out of their home office and never actually come into the office. And in some cases, these home workers don't connect to VPN either. So again, we have a way to actually be able to manage them, as well as for companies out there who provide managed services to their customers. They can take advantage of this particular platform to be able to manage those devices. No longer do we have to expose either our main semantic management platform into the DMZ or stick another one out there in the DMZ, which may or may not be supported depending on how you're using it, who you're talking to, and things of that nature. So it's nice to have something that's consistent and that works and allows us to manage a secure environment. Okay, a couple of points about this before moving on to the next slide is that the semantic management platform internet gateway, which would be this server right here, which is basically a site server. Okay, it doesn't have to have a lot of intelligence. There's no database and things of that nature on that particular server. And we'll talk about the requirements for standing that guy up here in just a little bit. But it does support hierarchy and replication. You can have the same gateway used for multiple or all of your semantic management platform servers. And we'll see a diagram of some deployment examples. It does live on your DMZ facing the internet, and its purpose is to basically relay that traffic from the external agent, which is this guy, internal to your semantic management platform. Okay, and there are certificates and things of that nature that need to be planned for and put in place in order to ensure that this actually functions properly. Okay, so here's a SMP Internet Gateway, or you'll see it abbreviated throughout documentation as IG, deployment example. So we can have a one-to-one type of deployment. Okay, it is recommended to at least deploy 2 of these so that we have failover. And basically, when we put these into the DMZ in a pair, the system will handle the failover. So if one dies, the agent will go ahead and talk to the other. So automatic failover, there's no switch you have to flip or anything of that nature. Agents can automatically switch between the gateways as well. Also, if I'm at home working on Monday and I come into the office on Tuesday, IT does not have to make provisions in order for my agent to flip over. It will go ahead and detect automatically and talk to the appropriate box. So that's, again, another time saver, as well as all gateways are treated equally. So if you have a larger environment, let's say this guy here, where we deployed in more of a mesh type of scenario, the gateways themselves will act in a round-robin type of configuration. They're all treated equally. So again, we don't have to worry about one box reaching a certain % of saturation before it moves on to the next. Okay. So let's talk about scaling then. We have the ability to install one or multiple or mesh, or there's several different deployment configurations we can come up with. So then how many connections does a single internet gateway for the semantic management platform actually handle? Well, the number on the screen here is 3,000 concurrent connections, which translates into about 60,000 cloud-enabled management nodes out on the internet. That's a tremendous amount. Okay, and if you have multiple, at least 2 internet gateways deployed, then you are going to be in pretty good shape. Okay. Now there are some figures around how many boxes you should deploy based on a number of devices that you're going to have. But again, if you have 2 deployed, we're going to be able to manage some of the largest environments out there. Okay. Hardware requirements, preferably a physical box. Okay. Preferably a physical box, but we can deploy the semantic management platform internet gateway on a VM. couple of things that you're going to have to be, take into consideration when you do this is that by deploying on a virtual, we're going to lower scalability by about 40%. So that's one number to keep in mind. So if you're a large organization, you want to either plan for multiple or go with a physical. You can see on the screen here the memory, RAM, hard drive requirements. As well as you want to ensure if we're deploying in a virtual that your VMs have your VMware tools installed so that you can use the the NetX3 network driver. Okay. To assist with some of the security that comes along or that may be a concern as we're allowing agents to connect into our network from the outside would be, okay, as an IT person who would run an IT department, I may be concerned that, hey, what happens, is it possible for my console to become compromised? Well, what Symantec has done is they basically added a second website within the Semantic Management Platform. There's a website that is just for the agent communications, okay, and then there's one for the console website itself, which you would log into and perform your duties. So your agent out over the internet will connect over HTTPS. Again, we'll have the appropriate certificates. And certificates are mandatory, and we'll talk a little bit about planning for certificates in a bit. But that second website, that agent website, is a bit more secure, so we don't necessarily have to worry about someone actually logging into that web page and gaining access to the Semantic Management Platform and the rest of your devices. So that's a great that one shouldn't keep us up at night. Okay, so then what are the types of machines that we can actually manage over the internet? Well, right now, cloud-enabled management has only been released for Windows. We don't have any Mac support just yet. That is to come in phase 2. So keep an eye out for that. If you have those Mac users out there, just hold on just a little bit longer. We'll have the ability to go ahead and manage those guys in just a bit. Okay. The platform for our internet gateway as far as operating systems will be our Windows Server 2008 64-bit only. So if we are 7.1 customers or users, we're already deploying 64-bit operating systems for Symantec Management Platform anyways, so that shouldn't be much of a heavy lift. As well as we want to ensure that we have 2 network cards, one that talks to the DMZ, and the other one back to our internal network. Okay, we can keep that traffic separate. Okay. So we've talked about a little bit about the architecture and the pieces that make it work. Then what are the supported features? Managed software delivery policies, quick delivery policies, but none real time. Obviously, because the agents don't remain docked to that internet gateway consistently. Hardware inventory, software inventory, as well as server inventory, patch inventory information is collected as well. And listening to some of the commentary from some of the early adopters, one of the points that they brought up is that we now have the ability to accurately account for the software that we have in our environment, because we can now collect information from those field machines in a shorter time frame than before. We don't have to wait until they connect to VPN, and in some cases, no matter what you say, your users won't connect to VPN anyway, unless it's something that they have to do. They won't do it for IT. So no longer a problem. Application metering works. We can go ahead and deliver patch management, and some of the basic client tasks will function as well. Okay. One point to make: the software portal is not supported for cloud-enabled managed computers. So that's one point to keep in mind. The software portal is not supported just yet with this particular set of features. So we'll pop in, and because we have a demo environment, it's pretty tough to show cloud-enabled management. Our internal doesn't match the external. There's some things that we have to do in order to get that working. But I want to go ahead, though, and show you just some of the configuration items that are necessary in order to get cloud-enabled management up and running. So what Symantec has done now, if you go to your settings and to your notification server, you now have the cloud-enabled management configuration item under settings. So notice how quickly this console comes up. I actually have a point in a later slide to talk about Internet Explorer 10 and running in compatibility mode. I'll save that one though. So we'll start at the bottom with our actual cloud-enabled setup. So you'll notice here we basically have right at our fingertips the instructions right here within the console as to what we need to do in order to get cloud-enabled management working. And if this isn't enough, if I go ahead and pop into my context help, I think there's context help for this particular page. It will give me more instructions on what it is that I need to do in order to get these particular pieces running. Here's the actual slide or the graphic that I used in my slide. Okay, so it basically goes through and explains everything that I explained right here within the console. So see for yourself. I didn't make it up. Okay. We'll go ahead and once we have our server built, whether it's a physical server for some of the larger environments or virtual servers for some of the smaller environments, we will go ahead and download the Internet Gateway installation package from the console and run that against my Internet Gateway server, which will go ahead and add the appropriate components that will allow me to then go on with my configurations. Also, there's a special agent that you would go ahead and deploy. So you go ahead and download the installation package. Excuse me. Go ahead and download the installation package and get that out to the machines. Now, if you have these folks who never come in to the office or doesn't connect over VPN, then you're gonna have to be a little creative in getting this out to them. But once it's out to them, then communication works and you are all set, provided we have everything configured appropriately. Moving one item up at the very top on the setup. This particular item here is for the actual Symantec management platform itself. I remember I talked about that second website that's actually added to the platform. Well, if you don't go through this particular setup here, which is basically you check the box, click Save after configuring the port information, etc., as well as the certificates, then that website doesn't exist. So a little, if you look at some of maybe some of the beta information that was available, or some of the stuff that's on the web right now, it says that the second web page is automatically generated. Don't go looking for it until you come in here to take care of this particular item. Excuse me. That then gets you that other web page, other website. Excuse me. Okay. Now, once we've gone through and have actually set up the gateway server, we've set up our agent. We've also set up the platform itself. We go ahead and add the policy to specify which machines are actually our internet gateways. So one question I had in the very beginning, before actually having the opportunity to go through reading the documentation and looking in the platform, is okay. So once I create this internet gateway, is it going to automatically talk because I downloaded the install files from a specific Symantec management platform? And if that's the case, then how does it work in the hierarchy when it has the ability to communicate with multiples? Well, this is how you do it. You'll come in here, put in the server name, put in the port, put it in the thumbprint of that internet gateway's certificate, and again, it can be multiple, as well as you can go ahead and plug this information into multiple SMP servers. So that's how we get that communication to work. Okay. Pretty simple on that one. Okay, let's pop back into the slides. Well, another new feature Then the Semantic Mesh platform and Altiris 7.5 is Mac imaging. Okay, so this is deployment solution. Obviously, deployment solution now lets you deploy Mac images. Basically, is the by doing so, some of the new features actually within the platform is that we can now image Macs without using an OS X server on our network. So we can actually now take advantage of existing site servers and infrastructure for NetBoot as well as Pixie. So not having a separate piece of equipment out there that we have to manage that is out there for only one purpose. Some of us are all Windows, and managing the Macs may be a little bit of a challenge. So now we have to add a Mac server out there and manage that as well. That is not the case. Okay, take advantage of our existing site servers for Pixie and NetBoot. We also have the ability, this may be a little trivial to most, to customize the background in the automation environment for during our Mac imaging process. As well as we have the ability now from within the console to go ahead and add the Mac automation folder, as well as to deploy the deployment agent plugin to our Mac environment right from the action deploy, as well as our, move down the menu to our install deployment plugin or install automation plugin. So right from within the console, you'll notice also we have not only the ability to install those for Mac, but we have the ability to go ahead and install those for Windows and Linux as well. Okay, so a little difference there, whereas before we would go ahead and turn on the policy to install an automation folder. For imaging in general, some other enhancements include support for Windows 8 computers as well as Server 2012 for imaging, as well as SUSE Linux version 11, Service Pack 1, ESX4 4.1, ESX5 4.1, and 5.1, as well as support for Red Hat Enterprise Linux 6.0, 6.1, 6.2, as well as 6.3. So just thought I'd throw that in there. So in order to actually get to the point where we can image Macs, we have to actually perform a couple of steps outside. And again, if you have been a part of some of the earlier communications from Symantec or some of their webinars or what have you, this is another image that has been altered a little bit, but you may have seen before. So on our site servers, one of the things that we have to do in preparation for Mac imaging is to enable NFS. Okay. Once we've enabled NFS, then we can go ahead and enable NetBoot on the general settings within the console, and we'll take a quick look at that configuration item depending on the amount of time that we have left. Excuse me. Then you'll go ahead and create your pre-boot. You'll start with a clean image. You'll run the Mac pre-OS creation utility to create your NetBoot image. And you don't have to go out and scour the network for a third-party tool. Symantec has been gracious enough to go ahead and supply that tool for us. And you'll see the UNC path down below, or the path as to where that actual utility lives. Once we've done that, we'll go ahead then and create our pre-boot configuration in the console and import our NetBoot image, and now we're ready. We go ahead and create our job that either captures or deploys our image. The device reboots to the NetBoot image. The image is then created or deployed, and we can go ahead and boot into production, and we're done. Now, when we're creating this NetBoot image, it can be pretty large. It can be 8, 10 gigs, somewhere around there. That should not bother us, because that particular NetBoot image will not be deployed across the network. Okay, it resides on the semantic management platform or on the site servers and does not go out to the actual machine. So a bit different than WinPE, where you boot up, WinPE actually travels down the wire to that device, and then it starts to respond to the server and perform its work. So it works a little bit different. So if you're going through and creating this in the lab, don't get too worried that that netboot image may be pretty large. Okay, some additional Mac enhancements that we have now available to us is we do have an updated Mac agent and a little screenshot of how that Mac agent looks. We also now have software catalog filtered by Mac platforms. Saw that just a little bit ago. But one of the biggies here is we now have the ability to import Mac software. So no longer do you have to create a software delivery package and then come up with the command lines to perform an install, uninstall, or an interactive install all on your own. So very similar to how the semantic management platform actually brings in and interrogates that MSI file and creates those command lines for you. We now have that capability with for Mac DMG files. And I say Mac DMG files because you can only import PKGs, MPKGs, and app files or APP files. They must be inside of the DMG file in order to bring them into the console. So that's something to keep in mind. Software management does now also have a software detection rule, so we can define whether that application is actually already on the machine or not. So another great enhancement for being able to manage those Mac machines more efficiently, as well as we now have NTLM version 2 protocol support. Okay, so a quick look at the, get my pointer back, there we go. Okay, so a quick look at software management window. This is one of the packages that I brought into the console and decided to go ahead and take screenshots just so that we can see the command lines that are created, as well as to see the detection rules that are created. So for those of us who work with software management and have created software delivery packages, these screens should look very familiar. Again, I did not have to go in and create these on my own. Once I imported the package, it did it all for us, and we'll go ahead and actually walk through that process here in just a moment. Okay. Supported platforms, pretty simple, 10.6, 10.7, and 10.8. Okay. So I'll pop in and just show where the enabling of the netboot actually resides within the deployment menu, and then we'll go ahead and take a look at our Mac software import. Okay, so I'll go up to my actions, and actually let's go ahead and take care of the software piece. I just eyeballed the time and noticed that we're getting pretty short. As far as the checkbox for enabling the netboot, if you're familiar with configuring your Pixie, turning on Pixie, specifying the information, your Pixie boot file, you simply, in that same location, you go ahead and you select the checkbox for enabling netboot. So I'll just skip right over to the importing the Mac software. Okay, so from within my software catalog, I'll go ahead and click on the import, again, just as if I were importing an MSI file. And my DMG file is located on my notification server. I'll go ahead and browse out to it. Again, all of the things that we are used to seeing. And I'll go into my Mac folder, and we'll select WinZip, and I'll go ahead and click OK. I'll display my location. Okay, there's my DMG file. Okay, I'll click Next. It's going to go ahead and interrogate the file, basically open that file up, and boom, there is my app file. I'll go ahead and highlight that and set that as the installation file. Okay, again, just as if I were pointing to a folder that had several MSIs and several EXEs inside, I would have to go ahead and select which one is responsible for the actual install. I'll go ahead and click Next. Okay. It's going to create a new resource. That was not in there, and I'll leave the checkbox open, selected to open this after the creation has completed. Give it a moment, and we should then see the generated command lines. So I'll go over to package. There they are for WinZip. And I'll go over to my rules, and there is my detection rule. All created automatically for me. No longer do I have to go out and search for this stuff or figure out how to create my detection rules and things of that nature. It's all done for me. I'll go ahead and cancel that. Okay. And let's flip back to the slide. Okay. Altiris 7.5 planning. Okay. Some of the major things here. If you are on 7.1, this is a non-issue. You're already on 2008 64-bit. But the management platform operating system is 2008 R2 SP1 64-bit. SQL 2012 is now supported with or without Service Pack 1 for creation of the database, as well as official support for 2008 Service Pack 3. Additional items to plan would be what's actually supported, or which operating systems in our environment are actually supported. Windows XP isn't on here. This is added support. Windows XP, actually in my demo environment, I have the agent on XP machine, so no worries there. But as you can read here, Windows 7, SP1, Windows 8, the different versions of Red Hat Linux, as well as IBM AIX 7.1. Okay, we did have some customers previously who had some AIX versions in their environment, and on 7.1, the agent would actually install, but it wasn't officially supported. It's now actually on the official support list for Altiris 7.5. Okay, I'm drawing close. Okay, so additionally, along the lines of planning, you want to ensure that you have backed up your 7.1 CMDB as well as the entire semantic management platform. If you have the ability to take an image of it, I would take an image of it. If it's a VM, no worries. Snapshot it. Just don't use that snapshot long periods of time. Then next, we're going to go ahead and prepare for the upgrade. We want to go ahead and use best practices during this upgrade. So basically, we want to ensure that we have turned off plugin installs, as well as we have turned on the uninstall for the additional plugins. So for things such as even inventory and some of the features that are supported, you want to go ahead and turn those off. The reason why is because the agent is not supported, or different versions of the plugins are not supported on the 7.5 agent. So everything has to be at the same level. And I'll talk about some of the other gotchas here in the next couple of slides. I want to real quick disable hierarchy replication. Make sure any tasks that are scheduled to run or that are running have completed, and you've turned off any additional tasks that will be running against the machine. Make sure you've also planned accordingly for the certificates that are required for your cloud-enabled management. Certificates are a requirement. You have the ability to use self-sign or third-party. There are pros and cons to all. So you want to make sure that you understand exactly which certificate you're going to use, as well as make the appropriate provisions to ensure your successful deployment of that cloud-enabled management agent. Then we're going to go ahead and run the SIM, the Semantic Installation Manager. That will allow us to start the upgrade. You select the upgrade link. You select the version that you're going to upgrade. And for those of you out there who are still concerned with being able to obtain the install files of the binaries for 7.1, although 7.5 is on the market or has been released, you still can access those. There's an option within the SIM to allow you to access those. I bring that up because that was a specific question from one of our customers. Also, you want to ensure that you've installed any additional prerequisites, and then allow the SIM to complete the upgrade. Now, with that last bullet, there's some caveats around that. So again, in the next couple of slides, I'll go ahead and point those out. Then you're going to go ahead and ensure that you performed any of your post-install tasks. You're going to verify your data and settings. You're going to monitor your agents to make sure that they're communicating in. You want to enable hierarchy replication if you previously disabled that. And again, just monitor those agents as they're brought over to ensure that that everything is communicating successfully. Okay. Now, it's important to know, you see the in bold at the very bottom of the slide, 6.x and 7.0 to 7.5 migrations require a deeper discussion, more decisions around planning and things of that nature. So be sure you don't take these 4 blocks and apply this thinking to a 6.0 or 7.0 migration to 7.5. Please ensure that that you give us a call so that we can assist you with the planning of that. Okay. So here's some of the gotchas. Okay, 2 slides on it. Migrating from migrating to Altiris 7.5. What to expect? Okay. Client-enabled management requires HTTPS. These cannot be self-signed. So basically, to clarify this, these cannot be self-signed by the site server themselves. There's additional documentation and certificate requirements around the certificates for the cloud-enabled management, but you want to make sure that you either have an in-house CA or you've purchased a third-party certificate and you've made the appropriate considerations around either of those. As far as your package servers, you want to ensure that the package server can be resolved by the cloud-enabled managed device as well as the SMP itself. So if we're going to be doing software delivery, things of that nature, we're going to want to go ahead and put one of those package servers on the DMZ, or at least ensure that we have the ability to communicate to that particular device. Again, additional planning needs to go around there. Think about the security implications of either installation. Pixie services have now been, the names have actually been changed. So if you have batch files and things of that nature that restarts your Pixie servers, you're going to want to take a look at those. Service desk will automatically be upgraded to 7.5. So this is one of the caveats that I talked about, as well as the next 2 bullets. The SIM will let you know, hey, this particular product is not at 7.5. You're going to have to uninstall it. And if you allow it to continue with the install, it's going to go ahead and uninstall. So for any of you who are still on the previous versions of Service Desk and not on 7.5 and want to move to 7.5 for Altiris 7.5 for the cloud-enabled management components, you're going to certainly want to engage us so that we can assist you with the appropriate planning to get to the appropriate versions of Service Desk. Okay. There's some things around Service Desk that need to be taken into account as well. MDM will be removed, so mobile device management will be removed. It's not up to 7.5, so it will be uninstalled, as well as if you're using out-of-band management for your Intel vPro computers, that will also be removed. Out-of-band management is no longer packaged with ITMS. You would have to go to Intel to get that. However, if you have provisioned any of your machines out there in your environment for vPro configurations, those machines will not be affected. Okay. Last couple of points here. Patch management requires ICMP to solutionsam.com. Okay, so we want to make sure that if we are in a secure environment, we're not allowing ping, or we turn that protocol off. We want to make sure, if we're going to use patch management, we want to make sure that ping actually works with SolutionSAM. If not, your import is not going to work. Also, deployment share changes. You can notice here the path to pre-boot source in 7.1 is different than the path to pre-boot in 7.5. So again, if you have scripts and there are things you do, I mean, some of our customers are very, very creative. I've been doing this for a long time, and I'll run into some folks who are just doing some very innovative things. If you are one of those and you're doing things around scripting in the automation environment, you want to be aware of that. Also, this is actually one of the best practices. You want to uninstall plugins before migration because the agent is going to holler at you if you have a plugin installed that is not supported on the new platform. And if you have, this is more of a tip, if you have DS6.9 in your environment, which was a great product, I still love that, you can use that to migrate to the newer versions. The current agents for the semantic management platform will coexist with the DS6.9 agents. So as Angelo mentioned, be on the lookout for some of the upcoming webinars from NetX. Our contact information is on the screen. I really appreciate your attendance today. And with that, please enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.